Well, Coach, one thing about this podcast that we got going on, it's all dedicated to triple option, man, and I know you know it inside and out, and you believe in it. Can you talk maybe a little bit about why the triple option, why that's your style of offense you love?
I just feel like, number one, it's fun to practice. You take the ultimate team sport in football, and you basically are employing the ultimate team offense. We're not creating a ball carrier or those types of things. It's to take what the defense gives you offense, and it's a lot of fun to practice. It's a lot of fun to play in. I think, you really stress a defense in the run game horizontally, and you add a quality vertical passing game, and you've got a lethal attack. To me, the way we've kind of evolved is we're in, a short pistol now, and we widen our slots out so we can give that college spread look. And employ some of those passing concepts and really get after it. But inside veer is where we start. Right now I'm in my first year in West Michigan at Jenison High School, and got there in late March, early April. And really, our kids know inside veer and not much else right now. So, and we'll get a lot going, but that's where it starts for us. That's where we'll hang our hat.
Man, sometimes that's all you need. It's a goal line to goal line offense. Nothing wrong with it. There's the three phases, and I believe in it. I do. Now, did you start out, Coach, in the flexbone before you get can you talk about maybe a little bit about the evolution or the history from the flexbone to the short pistol?
Right. When I came to Michigan, Coach Anise had established himself as one of the premier, if not the premier. I mean, I think it was the premier. Others will argue, option coach in the state. And we got together and kind of talked about things in terms of adding a no huddle aspect to a flexbone offense. And that was the first thing that we collaborated on. And he gave me, the ability to give some true input on how the offense would go in terms of that. And then from there, he came back and I think it was I was a head coach of another school in West Michigan, and we got together one night and he said, "Hey, I've got some ideas I want to share with you." And we started talking about, the pistol veer and his ideas, and we got on a board, and the time got away from us that night. And our teams had gotten together for a 7-on-7, and we did a little perimeter run drill with it where he was showing me some of the things he liked. And I said, geez, you could do this and this and this. And we started talking about formations. The next thing you know, I mean, he was really the catalyst for all of that. And I want to say midsummer, I said, okay, I'm on board. Here we go. Kind of switch things up and did it that way as well. My first year working that. And I want to say it was like 2006 or so that we started doing that, and really been trading things back and forth in terms of how to do it and how to do it better, and just different innovative things. And can we incorporate, this from a college offense into it, and how do RPOs fit into all this, and do they fit into all, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's been a lot of fun for the last, 12 years of working for Coach Anise, and then collaborating with him when I wasn't working, for him, and doing those kinds of things.
Man, it's awesome when you have a friendship like that where you can feed off each other, man. It's an amazing thing. I've got a couple of friends like that, and it's a fantastic thing. I was just curious as to why did you settle on, you think, the short pistol as opposed to maybe backing them up to like a 4.5? Why are you like around, would you say 2.5, 3 foot?
Yeah, we're about 3 yards deep, and really the issue that we have is we don't have a dominant offensive line. Where I am now, we're going to start a bunch of 180-pound kids. So to us, speed to the line of scrimmage, the ball moving quickly to the line of scrimmage is a big deal. To push him forward a little bit and to give us that little edge in terms of we don't have to sustain a block that long. We can be the less time you sustain a block, the more aggressive you can be coming off the ball. And I think that's the lesson that I've learned from a Navy, from a Georgia Tech, those service academies. If you watch those stances, I mean, they are butts in the air. They are flying off the ball at 100 miles an hour. So how do we replicate that and not be under center? Because under center, sometimes our guys can get overpowered from the get-go, and we're in real trouble. But from the short pistol, we feel like if we tie the line of scrimmage, we win. Now, we don't tell our kids that, but that's what we feel. If we can tie that line of scrimmage, we feel like we can get that 4 yards that we need to keep the down and distance in our favor.
I remember talking with you. Matter of fact, we were talking about inside zone a while back, and that's the thing you told me. You're like, Coach, one thing you need to know is the pace is different. Just be ready. It's not, you can't use that same stance and everybody's on tracks getting downhill. It's a different deal, different animal. And that makes sense, kind of what you're saying, as to, you want you to be as close into that line of scrimmage as you can to benefit from that dive, just like you had under center.
Right.
That's the experience I'm having right now is I'm about 4.5. I'm in the gun and we're running zone triple, but it's the inside the box, tackle to tackle. It's not where I want it right now. It's not, and I'm so used to my O-line getting off, you know what I mean, and like veer blocking, and it's a different animal. It is a completely different animal, man. It's matter of fact, we were having discussion as to evolving back to more of a short pistol. Because it's just a different deal. You're used to coming off and punching guys in the mouth, and that's the kind of attitude we want. It's a tough deal. But I know you taught inside zone, incorporated into what you guys are doing at Ferris State, where you didn't go all in, so to speak, and say we're a zone team only. You found a cool little way to implement it into what you guys were doing, and I guess a cheap way. Maybe a cheap way. I think you were related to like a veer release. You know what I mean? With some of the resources I had.
Yeah, when we were at Ferris, and I know they've continued to evolve since I left. So by no means am I saying this is what they're doing now.
No, that's okay.
When we were there, right? We started. When we'd move that back to the sidecar and we'd get into a more true gun look. And we'd call inside zone, or if it was zone triple, whatever it was, didn't matter the offensive line. But it was a little bit slower, it was a little bit more paced. But one of the ways that we found that worked for us at the time was we'd always have the back track to the A-gap defender. So we would track, if we had a one technique to the now as a veer team, we would always call. Yeah. And this is funny because when we met, we had this discussion.
Yeah.
We were a veer team. You're right. That means the balls, we're meshing to the right, and we're releasing the right tackles, releasing the defensive end, and those types of things. If you're a zone team, you would call that zone left.
Yeah.
So it was a little different there, but we would always work, if we were working zone left or veer right, however you want to term that, we would always track the A-gap defender. So if the B-gap defender was to the side that we were releasing the tackle, we would cross the back to the other side. And we felt that was a way to help us keep the linebacker in the box, because that squeeze scrape, linebacker switch stunt that teams always run against, that want to run against option teams, makes it a little bit harder for them to do that because he's got to stay in the box and honor that back's track. So it was a way that we kind of figured that out a little bit and helped us and cheated it for us a little bit, for sure. Because we were still trying to maintain our veer principles, and, we would fight hard in those off-season meetings to keep inside veers a play when we were at Ferris, and, because it was an attitude play, and it really was, and then we would run some plays off of that. We'd run, what you would call power without a backside pulling guy, and it was just us screaming off the ball and and trying to do those types of things, and we, even if we weren't running it a lot in games, we felt like it gave us an advantage in inside run periods, to just as an attitude run and say, let's go get it, and how tough are we, and kind of build our toughness through camp, and not really during the season so much, but definitely in the spring and then through camp.
That's good stuff. Hey, Coach, talk about. I imagine when you and Coach Anise probably are putting this zone thing together, how you were going to call it. Did you guys did it wrestle in your mind a little bit of how you were going to call it, zone right or zone left, and based on how you called things in the flexbone?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that, because we would go back and forth all the time. And each of us would argue both sides. If one was arguing one side, the other was kind of arguing the other side. And it was great because Tony's oldest son was my offensive coordinator when I was a high school coach, and then came on board also at Ferris State. So the three of us would go round and round with that all the time. But, to me, I'm always an option guy at heart. So I'm always thinking we're calling it to the right. That means we're reading the guy on the right. And I know those zone guys are back, are the other way. When I got to Kent State, and on their staff as their offensive line coach, it took me a minute to figure that out because they start talking about it. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it's easy to know the direction, but when they start talking about backside and front side, you've got to change your whole way. So it was, it takes a minute to kind of figure that out for sure.
I want to tell you, I've asked many guys that, and it's so different everywhere across the board. And I just have to laugh because being a flexbone guy, coming from that a train of thinking, the backside, the front side, that's where they get you right there, man. It's different everywhere. Every coach I've asked from different places, they have that same struggle, man. When unless they're a zone guy, it's clear cut. They're going to call that the way a zone guy would. But it's kind of funny.